evening and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name's Rodney.
My name is Zach.
How are you going, Zachary? I feel like it's been weeks since we talked about F1. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. I wasn't doing so good watching the Japanese Grand Prix this weekend. I was like, you know what? 6 a.m. It's not too bad. But it's not the worst. It's not like you don't have to change your life around that. There's no temptation to be like, maybe I'll just stay up all night. There is just like, okay, if I go to bed at a reasonable hour, like pre-midnight, I will have enough sleep that I'm not like, oh my God. And I even, in these circumstances, often just watch the race on my iPad in bed, but I was like, you know what? Get up. Went into the lounge, put my dressing gown on, went into the lounge, had my slippies on, made myself a nice hot drink. And then turn the TV on, they're like, and the race has been delayed by an hour. I'm like, that would have just
could have been in bed.
Perfect.
Yeah, I hate that. And I've had that many times. But we had a lot of rain delays in F1 lately, so I guess we're used to it. I don't know. I did appreciate that because I will talk about the result soon. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it, though. It was one of the rare races that's at a great hour for me. It was like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what Zach must feel like all the time. But I was busy. My daughter insisted that we have a party while we sit on top of our letterbox, and she was singing songs and like we had snacks for all of her toys, and it was just a great time. And then I was looking at the clock going, yeah, but the race is starting soon. And then I just decided to abandon watching the race live so I could play with her. And then that night when I tuned in and skipped past all of the crap and saw that the race was going to go for about 40 minutes, I was like, I love this. This should be my life.
Yes, you nailed it. You nailed all of it. It does.
I did everything right.
I often wonder in those circumstances because like the channel for like free to air, like race recap kind of shows that they do. They tend to cut the race down to like 40 minutes. So I always wonder what they do when the race is only 40 minutes. Do they just go, we'll just show the whole thing then? Or do they say,
I suppose so.
down to just 28 minutes? So we still cut it. So we still do some work. I don't know. But it was
where they, instead of like a commercial break where they would normally just let the race continue to play in the background, they just sort of like pause the race, run the ads, and then they're like, everyone back? Okay, let's restart it again because we can't afford a single second here.
What do you watch the races on? Like, you don't have to give away any piracy secrets, obviously, but is there an Australian television network you watch? Is it a KO thing?
It's a KO. Unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say. I mean, I shell out, personally, I shell out $0, but we have a kind of a family thing going, But I'm ashamed to say that the money does go to Rupert Murdoch, which I don't really like. That's but yeah, I'm a KO. I'm on with the KO right now.
Yeah. And is it a live full feed? You don't get there's no ads? Or are there ads?
Not during the race, no.
Okay, well, that's good.
Before and after the race, a few ads here and there, but no. During the sessions, like qualifying, they'll stop and have an ad between the sessions. But I mean, it's been a long time since I even watched qualifying.
Yeah, and when you're watching practice as well, I'm sure they don't like when you watch practice.
Do, yes.
Yeah,
exactly,
religiously.
Yes, and the race, and it's good, and it's the thing that annoys me is it's like Formula One's the only sport that I watch on it. So like 9 times out of 10, the next day when I turn it on, it's like, Rod, welcome back, mate. We've got the race ready for you. But when it doesn't do that, it's like I can't even find this. Like I subscribe to one sport. There was a race yesterday. Normally you can do this, but I don't really want to watch a special that you made about, Dream Team 2. Like, I just don't... I'm not in the mood for ice hockey or volleyball. I want the Formula One.
You like sports generally, Rod? Like, because you like one sport, you should like all sports.
Why would I subscribe to KO otherwise? Well, maybe because it's not on the fucking TV, you jerk. Anyway. What do you got the Sky? You're on the Sky Sports.
Got the Sky full pack, mate. I mean, if there's a sport on,
Sky, Blue Sky deal.
Yeah, if there is a sport on that is not on one of my myriad sports channels, I get disappointed, and that does happen sometimes. They put the AFL on BT, and then I'll be like, oh look, my team's playing my wife's team. Can't wait. It's on at 10:30 on Saturday or whatever. And you turn on, you're like, why is the Swans game on?
It shouldn't strike me so weird at this stage when you say the word my wife. It shouldn't. Like, I should be used to that by now, but I'm not. Do you watch the soccer ball on that one?
Yeah, I watch a lot of the soccer ball.
The soccer ball.
You got to have two. You got to have Sky and BT because they share the soccer ball. And so if your team's playing it, Yeah, exactly. Like, they're a good team.
Could cross. Yeah, I know
the interesting thing is, do you know about this? That there is a football blackout on Saturdays. Which is there to make sure
to make people go to.
Yeah, to their local football is what it's there for.
Right. Yep.
To make sure that like football across the country traditionally would be played at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, and so. Those games, most of the weekend's Premier League football happens at 3 p.m, right? And none of those games are on television in the UK because you should be out there watching your local team or playing football yourself. Then over the years...
Playing yourself?
Yes.
Or learning the basics.
Just picking it up. Spending time, those closest to you. I was kicking the old leather skin around. But don't use your hands. Unless you're the one guy who's allowed to use his hands in that spot specific for him. You don't want to be that guy.
The hand guy.
Named after Hans Hansi. He's the hand guy. He didn't have feet, so they let him play with his hands, which is very kind. And then traditionally it just became something. But anyway, the whole point is those football games aren't on. And when I first moved here, and my now brother-in-law, Phil, shout out to Phil, was in town, and we were like, we'll go to the pub and we'll watch the game. The Manchester United Arsenal game. We go for those teams. Great. And we got in there and there was an Australian guy behind the bar and we were like, could you flick on the TV for the football? And he's like, yeah, mate, of course. And we're scrolling through the channels. He's like, doesn't seem to be on. And there's nobody else in this pub. Me and him, the bartender, and there's one other guy reading the paper in the corner. And this goes on for 5 minutes. We're looking around. He's like, package. And we're looking it up on I'm sure, is it on TV? And the guy puts down his paper and goes, the 3 o'clock games aren't on television. And we were just all like, what? Like this?
What pub is this?
It seems so it just seems so out of time with capitalism. That's like, hey, the premier sports product of basically this continent, and definitely this country, it's not on television. And so they've been working out over the whole time I've been here, like they've been introducing more times to play football games. So it's like, look, there's a Friday night game, and now there's a Saturday lunch game and a 5:30 game. And then on Sunday, there's lots of games now so that we can get it all out of this. Like, it's like the sport is bending over backwards to get out of this thing, which nobody is doing. You can't go to see, like... It's not like it's encouraging people to go to the Premier League games. They all already go anyway. They're all sold out. Like, it's the biggest sport in, like, Europe. Like, of course they're all sold out. People come from far and wide to go to these games. No one's like, well, if it was on television, I wouldn't go. It's like, no, people are fucking desperate to go. Like, they ignore their children's birthdays to go to these things. So, anyway.
Well,
it's very funny and weird. Why are we even talking about that?
Sounds funny and weird.
But even though I pay all this money to watch all the sports... Often I can't watch it. I can't watch the sports I want to watch because they're not on the show.
I love that this is it's turned into pitch talk. But the last thing, at risk of extending the football talk even longer, you're on the Welcome to Wrexham train
with Ryan Reynolds and the other guy who's seemingly more famous with a certain selection of Always Sunny absurdists, but the rest of them I don't really know anything about. They seem like nice lads. No, I'm not watching. This is an Apple TV Disney Plus thing or something like that. Got to pay for another service.
Maybe, I don't even know. But if you're flicking around and you happen to see that it's there, give it a sniff. I reckon it's pretty good. And,
I see the Wrexham highlights come up on my TikTok For You page because the two comedy boys / owners do the commentary for the highlights. And it's very good. Like, Ryan Reynolds is a good producer of stuff.
They have been. That's the whole. Like, this show is obviously it's about them, and they buy the team and they try to get them promoted and all the rest of it. But I mean, what's interesting is seeing the interplay between like their good intentions and their very, very, very goofy attempts at promoting the team and being like, well, we've just invented hundreds of millions of dollars. We'd also like to make some of that back by selling, T-shirts and shit, please.
Please sell T-shirts.
So it's the show is. But I mean, surprisingly, there's a lot of like feeling in the show. It's very funny and there's very. It caught me off guard by just how invested
authentic.
I got very quickly. So I don't know. There's a con rec for you early.
Do you think my wife would be interested in watching this with me?
I would say this. I put it on and Kate and I watched. There's 11 episodes. We watched them all in like 2 nights. And we both love it. Yeah, really, definitely give it a go.
All right. I am going to look at this.
So there you go. If you want to watch it with your significant other and that person is a female and you have doubts, just forget about it.
Forget about the doubts.
Yeah. What else? Football?
I'm going to continue to delay talking about our specific.
Why is some black and white and some look like a volleyball? What's going on there?
I think it's...
Did they get the balls mixed up and no one pointed it out, or like...
What I want to know is, if you score 3 goals, what happens traditionally is you get to take the match ball home. But because the sport's all fast now, they actually have lots of match balls. True. It'd be like taking the tennis ball home from a tennis match you've won in straight sets. But
I've just had a really good, original idea that might improve the sport. Oh, they should get rid of offside. I reckon. Just get rid of that.
People are unsubscribing
in droves.
Yes, I'm going to ask you a Formula One question. Okay, so you've got Ryan Reynolds and what's the other man's name?
Rob McElhenney. You can call him Mac.
Rob Mac. I like him in the show on Apple TV about the video game company, Magic Realms or whatever it's called. That's a good show. I like that one. It's got an Australian actress in it who plays an actual... we see Australian actors and actresses. Just actors, I suppose, acting people. But they're Australian, and you can hear it a little bit, but they're not playing an Australian. They're playing a different person.
Oh, yeah, I know what you
mean. She's playing an Australian in the show, and she's Australian. I was like, yes, this is great. Good and one. It's a heartfelt, but very... It's a bit like Community, but it's sometimes better. With really high production values, and good and funny. I just can't remember what it's called. Anyway, that's good. Cool. I can't remember any name.
Great.
Anyway, Mac and Ryan Reynolds, right? Actors, funny man, nice people, bought a sports team. If you wanted... Who would you want to buy? 2-part question. Who would you want to buy a Formula One team? And which team would you want them to buy?
Okay. I mean, immediately I kind of go to... I don't know why I've got King Ralph in my head, but I feel like somebody with more money than God could buy a Ferrari and just really upset all of the sort of toffs who are like traditionalists. And they're like, we just don't do it that way because we're Ferrari. It's like, well, guess what? Now we do. There's that. But then at the same time, you want an element of some kind of underdog. But what team would be good? I mean, the thing is then, now I'm thinking I want a clash of personalities. So I don't just want... I want someone to buy Haas, but have to deal with Gunter, right? So who would be a good clash for Gunter?
Good time, Gunter.
Straight talking. Oh, it would be somebody who's like Gwyneth Paltrow or someone could buy it, and then Gunter tells everybody to fuck off or grow some balls or something, and then she has to be like, we don't use gendered insults here. And he'd be like, oh my God. That just, I would imagine the content.
Instead, we try to explain how we feel and why we feel that way.
Exactly.
As opposed to just swearing at people. It might be slower,
if it's okay,
I'd
like to come into your energy realm so that we could have an earnest conversation.
Just a free trading of ideas, really.
It's all it is. It's a non-judgmental thing.
I like this. I quite like the idea that it would, it's in a similar circumstance, but instead of it being someone who's like opposite Gunter in style, there's someone who's very similar. And so you think it's going to be like the perfect match, right? It's just like, yes, these two, they tell it like it is, but it would just explode because they'll both just be talking about each other to the media, briefing in the wrong way.
Adam Driver. Do you think Adam Driver and Gunther Steiner have got a similar vibe going?
Driver and Steiner. I mean, come on.
Driver and Steiner. Best buds. BFFs.
So it's such a stretch.
I feel like that's just a natural pairing when you think of it.
It absolutely calls out the Australian accent too. Steiner and Driver. Driver and Steiner.
Good thing they're not playing Australians.
And then it could just be Driver to Survivor, like just the Adam Driver story.
Well, what are we even doing making this show when we could be making that one? Are we ready to talk F1? Do you have anything else on the... I was going to throw it back on you. I feel like we went with Driver though.
Yeah, we did go with Driver. There? I think who's a really rich person that I'd be like, that would be good if who's like a rich celebrity who could make that happen. Let's go with someone really simple. Like, I want, who do I want? I was thinking like Tom Hanks, and he could just be, because I like Formula One dads. I feel like Tom Hanks would be really nice to own Haas, American team.
Dad.
Tom Hanks buys them, and he's just like, like a bit like Zach. He would just, if you were going to pick someone to play Zach Brown in a film, I think Tom Hanks would be the guy.
Maybe. Yeah, okay. I can see. I think, yeah, two dads. I feel like my second dad could be a good vibe for an F1. I mean, we could use a bit of that right now.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, you know who
so many other things
is not going to have an F1 daddy.
But what about this? What if we talked about that? But I mean, look, there's so many notes that we're not even getting to. We're so deep into the show. Like the show's a third over already. This is outrageous.
So let's say, speaking of F1 dads, and maybe my favorite F1 dad, the most daddy of them all, Zach Brown, has had to say to one of his sons, you're not going to be racing for us next year. And now Daniel Ricciardo is making that grown-up choice to be like, you know what? I'm going to take a year off. It's not because I can't find a seat on the grid.
Remember when he made the choice that he wasn't going to take a year off? Oh, no, Daniel. It just has not gone your way, has it?
Yeah. There were rumours that he might be a test driver for Mercedes. I think this is strong. And I think he'd be a good fit when Hamilton wants to take a year off. Or leave.
I was looking at what seats were available for next year, and what I accidentally stumbled on was not just who's available for next year, but all of the contracts and how many years they're running for. And that's when I actually noticed, I mean, he's talking about 2024, but a lot of seats are already contracted also for 2024. I guess you could argue his seat was contracted for next year too, and that didn't exactly happen, but there's not that many free seats for He's going to sit out 2023, try and come back in 2024. The only seats are at AlphaTauri, or there is Lewis Hamilton. But that said,
Louis,
as we've kind of said many times, especially he ain't going nowhere anytime soon. So he's talking about 1 year off, but this could be many, many years off, maybe all the years off.
Yeah.
How do you like them apples?
He doesn't like them. I think
he doesn't. No, I don't think so.
Once you've tasted Formula One, you know anything else is a step down. Like you can go to Formula E and you can go to WEC, but no one cares, really. Just become a pundit.
I mean, it's nice, but it's also like it's not F1.
I suppose you also have a little bit of a midlife crisis as well, right? Because you just kind of go like, it's passed me by now. Like my dream, I didn't achieve my dreams. That's it. And there was a moment where I could have.
Yeah. There's a lot of cats in F1 who are like, if I wasn't in F1, I'd be perfectly happy just off doing whatever else. And it's like, I feel like when they get there, they're like, sort of thought I would like this more, but I'm itching to get back in the old F1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's almost like a dream job. You fly around the world.
It's almost like I wanted to do that my whole life, and then I was doing it.
Yeah, and I kind of get to be the main character of my story, and everybody else is essentially my support team, and now I'm just a guy? Just a guy.
Yeah, I suppose so.
And I'm not even a world champion, I'm just a guy. I feel like Jenson Button has it, right? Won the world championship in what he knows to be weird circumstances. And was like, you know what? Great. I like all the people involved, fly around on private jets, and just hang out, talk about Formula One. Pretty happy with my life. I am rich. I've got beautiful people around me, and it's good. He doesn't, because he's not one of those, he'll never come up in the list of greatest Formula One drivers of all time, or that we know, he doesn't have to worry about legacy. He's quite comfortable being like, I was pretty good, and I won a world champion. No one can have a championship. No one can ever take that away from me. And I'm a bit of a goof. I don't have to be anything. And the difference between him and Nico Rosberg is it's Nico Rosberg was the underdog and tried really hard and a perfectionist and all this stuff. Whereas no one ever thought that about Jenson Button. I was just like, well, you're an interesting factoid for trivia for the next generation, aren't you?
For sure. Well, yeah, we're one talking point down out of about 20, I want to say. So maybe we move.
And there's not important stuff to cover. Don't worry about it.
A couple of more quickie things. This is meant to be the quick things that we start the show with, but a couple of my favorite news segments, which are, oh no, you reported the joke as if it's news. I got this one from Autosport, which I don't know if you saw this one, Zach, but it says Vettel would seriously consider chance for one-off F1 return at Suzuka. So that makes it sound like, hey, Sebastian Vettel's retiring, but he's thinking about coming back. And then when you read the quote, it says, if one of these guys, I really like racing here, and if one of these guys wanted to sit out, I might sit in for them, ha ha ha. So I'm very sorry, Autosport, but what you went and did there was you went and reported a joke as if it was news. The other thing we like to do is talk about things that are so true. I believe, Zach, that you've got one in the chamber this week.
I've got one in the chamber. Actually, as it happened live, I was like, I actually said out loud, that's so true, writing that down.
This is so true, exactly. That's the moment we want to capture.
So this was Singapore, Martin Brundle on Max Verstappen having some shifting issues in his gearbox. And he said, well, of course, a lot of them are downshifts, because that's what Max was complaining about. And a lot of them are downshifts as well as upshifts.
I didn't hear that. Are you serious?
Oh, yeah, because of course they are. Of course they are, Martin.
So true, Martin.
Bang on is what I would say. A lot of them are because it's, in the moment it seems fine, right? Max Verstappen complaining about the downshifts aren't working very well. And Martin's like, well, of course, Singapore, lots of downshifts. And, plenty of upshifts as well.
Also upshifts as well. They do both of them here. At this track demands both downshifts and upshifts. That's amazing. I don't know if there's a contender for best So True of the year, but you're in the lead, I think.
The ultimate winner here is Martin Brundle.
Yours. The opposite what?
The ultimate winner here is Martin Brundle because he's
true.
The most
the ultimate winner here is Formula One.
Yes.
I noticed watching the Suzuka, the race in Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix. At the end of the race, Johnny Herbert was doing some interviews, and he had to say to Max Verstappen after a certain penalty was announced, Max, I think things may have changed for you. So true. He was only announced friggin' world champion. So yeah, I think things did change. So true, Johnny. Well done.
Understated. He is.
That really gets
Johnny
us.
Herbert is.
Yeah.
He's rogue, man. I don't know how he's holding that job. He's rogue. He's a liability.
Out there.
He's just fun.
It's like every answer, I can't tell if he's joking or not. I'm like, are you serious?
It's just, I don't know how much of the Sky feed you get. Maybe do you just get the straight up Sky whole weekend? Is that what you get on KO?
Look, it's the world feed.
So you get you get what is essentially the F1 lads, the British F1 lads.
I believe so, yes.
Because
I'm pretty sure
that's all they are. It's Herbert and Button and what's his face, Simon, he's just like the guy who hosts
always
the show,
squinting and looking off camera for some reason. Never wants to actually be there. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's the F1 boys and their mates, and I'm like, how do you all swing this? Like, I think about like Karun Shandok and Anthony Davidson. And what's his face?
Paul Di Resta.
Paul Di Resta, thank you so much. I was like, he's got "det" in the name. I don't know why I can't remember people's names. I was like, these guys are all like good pundits. Like they've worked quite hard for this. But I sometimes do wonder if like Paul Di Resta is a bit like, who the fuck does Jensen Button think he is coming in here and replacing Martin Brundle every single time? I used to be that guy.
One's a world champion. One, I don't think even scored a podium.
Yeah, but I feel like probably raced more recently and seems to know more about Formula One analysis than Button. The Button is because you can't have two guys being the fun colour in the commentary team, right? I like Croft and Button.
Yes,
I think it's good, but you've got two guys who are the funny guys. Button does have a lot of insight, but I think you need the guy who knows a lot about Formula One and can provide the insight.
Yeah,
I'm not saying Button can't do that. I'm Di Resta in. I'm big Di Resta.
Okay.
Anyway,
that
Max
was meant to be a segue into
right?
Max Verstappen. So, we should probably, he wasn't even sure. And they told him multiple times, Max, you are world champion. And he still later was like, I'm not even sure. I'll go and take a photo in front of a bizarre board sitting on a friggin' $5 fake white fluffy thing. If you
can we make the whole show about that room?
What was that?
That's all I wanted to talk to you about. Like all I've wrote in my notes on the day where I was just like, the World Championship thing and the separate room for Max is embarrassing. This sport is unserious.
We tweeted, if you want to see it, check our Twitter feed. That's our super license. But it's a velvet red chair, not a throne, I wouldn't say, but it's
just like almost
it's
like
ornate and comfy
like
looking.
Yes.
But it's not like, this is the seat of a world champion. It was just, it has all the effort. The thing is, remember when there was that joke about Fernando Alonso sitting on the chair and then they were like, it's the summer break. This will be funny. Let's get Fernando Alonso sitting on a chair and they painted a thing on the ground. The same effort went into that as went into this.
The thing that frustrated me the most is that it didn't go far enough. Like they stopped short. Like someone went, I can see the creative meaning for this, right? It's like, so World Championship could be decided this weekend, right? And wouldn't it be nice, because we have the green room, wouldn't it be nice to have a separate room just for Max? We'll just put up a partitioning wall and put a big screen in there that says World Champion Max Verstappen, like showing pictures of himself, which I'm sure he finds really enjoyable. And then we can have a big throne in there. We could have champagne in there. He could host a little drinks reception, like something like, and he could have a crown and a scepter, and like maybe it would be like a Pirelli crown, like all of this cool shit. And that's the idea that gets it off the ground. But then the implementation is like, oh,
yes,
but it might not happen. So like, let's have we got a big seat. We could have the big seat, and we'll put a
no
rug on it.
On these Pirelli crowns.
Yeah. Yeah, Pirelli are not interested in the crown scenario. They liked the hats, the cowboy hats, but not the crown scenario. It's a one-off. You can't sell that one on F1Authentics.com, so it's not worth it. And then you've got, what was like a fur rug or something? I feel like I got to bring the picture up. But it was just nothing, and it was just a crap room. Like, I don't know if you've ever been, it really reminds me of like years and years and years and years and years ago. I was friends with some club promoters, and there was a new nightclub in Melbourne, and these club promoters like, we've got on Thursday nights, we're going to have we've got a VIP room, and we're going to run like our own club night in this VIP room. I was like, amazing. So I go, and it was free, and it was always so lame because it wasn't as good as the rest of the nightclub. It was just like a room that had its own music and its own lights and its own little bar, but it wasn't as fun as the rest of the nightclub. And Max Verstappen had that literal moment. He literally said it out loud. He's like, feels weird being on my own. I'm going to come back with you guys. So he sat on the chair and went, tapped his fingers on the chair and went, fuck
Great.
this, and went back in. He was like, I feel too weird. Like, it wasn't fun.
No, I'm with you. If they had slapped it together, that would have been better. Or if they went way over the top, it would have been better. I mean, you could argue there's a chair just sort of put in the corner. One wall is blank. I mean, there's that, first of all. Something is stuck in that corner as if they were like, oh, we need to put this somewhere. I know, put it in the corner so it's out of the way. But there's a whole designed and full wall size printed decal on one wall. So, like, someone put heaps of effort into that. So it just doesn't. It
wasn't as catered as well either. The other room has the drinks and watches and all the other stuff.
It's a bit like, I could hang out in the lounge room that you've set up for the party, except all my friends and all the drinks and snacks are in the kitchen, so I might go and hang out in there. Thanks.
Yeah, but also the lounge, there's only one chair and it's for me. And I put pictures of myself up on the walls, so you might all feel a bit weird.
Look, is it that different than his actual house? I can't say. I haven't been invited.
No, because he's at his own house. His dad's put up pictures of himself in there. Yes, like, don't forget where you came from. All this is from me.
All of his trophies and Yoss's one trophy somewhere down the bottom right somewhere. Max Verstappen, though, I would say, I just wanted to say this. I think he's been driving incredibly well the last few races. Really, just like like way above everyone else in the field. Give him his due. There's been 18 races this year. He's won 12. If you do the maths, he's won twice as many as everybody else put together. And remember at the start of the year when he was having mechanical problems, and he might have won more races if he hadn't had those. Oh boy, it's been his year for sure.
Yeah, he's an outstanding driver. I think that we are catching him now at a point, well, no one's catching him, but we are seeing him at what will could be another 5 years of absolute dominance. Like, he's so good. He is the complete package. Man. Like, he's good in the rain, he's good in the dry. They're the two types of things. He's
good at downshifts, he's good at upshifts, he's got it all covered.
All. He can turn left and right. But he's good on all tracks. He's really competitive, but he's brought in the maturity where he doesn't just I feel like I haven't really seen him crash into anyone this season. Like, not really memorably so. Like, he's like, you know what? If I don't get him this corner, I'll get him at the next corner because I'm the best. And it's
needs competition, eh?
His self-confidence has been confirmed in a way that I don't think he's arrogant anymore. I think he knows how good he is, and it just so happens that he's actually that good. And I think you can go to another level at that point where you trust yourself to win in any circumstance. So even if you aren't starting on pole or you get overtaken early, it's not like he's getting overtaken in the first corner is like, I'm just going to fucking weave and drive into that guy, and he's going to come over. It's like, all right, well, 70 laps to go. Probably reckon I can catch you and beat you. Don't worry about it. So there's he seems unassailable, I suppose.
The car helps, but I mean,
car.
There's no doubt he's the right type of driver to be in a car like that. And then, you know, like you say, if he has to take a 10-place grid penalty, you can't write him off from winning the race, let alone ending up on the podium in that car. So that's just a formula for utter dominance. So, yeah, I think you're right. We might be in for a few more years of this. Fucking hell. Someone else please get better so we can have some competitive races. Well, that was a bad thing. The championship room, that was a bad thing that happened at Suzuka. But on the flip side, there was also, I guess, another bad thing on the track with horrible rain and the very disturbing scenes of a recovery vehicle, a tractor track out on track when it really shouldn't have been there.
Yeah,
this is poor.
And obviously with, you know, Jules Bianchi is where he had his horrible accident in the rain. So everybody knew that. Like, all the people driving around knew that. Pierre Gasly knew that. And
nobody there could have forgotten. Like, it's no. There's just no way. Especially once it starts to rain. Even just raining, let alone anything else. Even just being at the track, let alone everything else.
I know. And this is where, like, regulation for how things work and how races are run. You know, we're lucky there's a lot of good journalists you can follow on Twitter, or usually from Autosport, who are all very good, who, you know, can look up the regulations. They're like, well, you know what, under, you know, red flag circumstances, you are allowed to have, you know, when a race has been red flagged, or in certain circumstances, the regulations don't say you can't have recovery vehicles on the track. But you see that and you go, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, why is that a thing? Like, you can just wait. Like, obviously in an absolute medical emergency, in the end, you could actually just ask every single car to stop. Like, we have virtual safety cars. You could just say, hey, everyone, just stop. Just stop racing right this second. Like, everyone turn off your cars. Just brake. Nobody drive around. Like, you could do stuff like that. Or just everyone come to the pits right this second. Like, on this lap. It's so unnecessary. It's the same, you know, we've seen it a couple of times in the last season or so, the last year or so. You know, Marshall's being out on the track. You're like, what? Like, this is so unnecessary. And then for the FIA to come back and be like, well, you know what, though? You were speeding, Pierre Gasly, under yellows. So actually, you're at massive fault. And it's been really interesting seeing all the other drivers come out to be like, I've seen other drivers say, you know, but F1 drivers are totally in control of their cars in that circumstance. He's not trying to do anything unsafe. And other drivers being like, I couldn't even... Like, I think, did Russell say, you know, I was driving behind somebody else. I didn't see that recovery vehicle until I was 10 meters away from it. It might have been Vettel, actually. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't see anything in the spray. Like, if it's... it's the worst of the worst scenarios. And I think we're incredibly lucky that nothing terrible happened.
But that's all the more reason not to have one out there in the first place. And, I mean, the argument isn't like, hey, driver, you were going a little bit too fast when we told you not to. The argument is... don't put that out there until it's the safest of safe options.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There was lots and lots of rain. Lots and lots of rain. As I said earlier, we barely even got a race in there. We just snuck it in there. Decided full points though. Max Verstappen, full points. What did you think about this? I know everyone was confused. Everyone was rereading the rule books. The old Twitter boffins from Autosport were out there checking their rules and everything, but. Full points, even though it was a very short race. Any feelings on that?
Well, the was one of my weekend highlights for F1 Twitter, because we're all sitting around smugly being like, look at Formula One management group, like getting all the points wrong on all the boards, they're like on the screen the whole time. So it's not going to be full points. It's going to be at most half points. And like, here's the columns of scenarios. Like when it gets this far, it's like this many points, and now it's this many points. And so we're all doing the work. But at no point did anybody in the broadcast say like, oh, by the way, because this flash was red flagged and then restarted, regardless of its length, it will be full points.
Yeah. It hasn't been abandoned. They ran the race.
Exactly. I'm not sure that maybe David Croft would even know that rule. That's not a slight on him, but it's a complicated scenario. And obviously no one did. And
clearly.
So it's, again, just needlessly weird. Like, I don't know why we aren't just like, hey, if there's less than half race, like if the race doesn't go full distance, you don't give full points. Easy. You know, that's the scenario. Like, it feels like that would be one line in the rule book. But no. Even every single time this happens where we have a time-limited race, there is always consternation about whether we finished a lap early or not as well. It was like,
yeah, right.
Actually, we might have, you raced at the time, and what time exactly was it at that moment? And, did that happen? I don't know. So did we pull people in a lap early? Or is that the checker flag too early? Like, it just, this happens too often. Like, why haven't we cleared any of this stuff up? It seems insane. And then for us to not know in the moment if there was a world champion being crowned or not, it's because we had to wait till after the race to get the 5-second penalty on something that could have been called at the time. Like, what do we have to do to get one world championship settled? Just like, this guy won the most races. Look, he just won this race. That means he's the world champion now. Amazing.
I actually thought, to be fair, usually there's like something that happens in the race and they're like, well, it's lap 6. We'll look at that at the end of the race. It's like, but dude, it's lap 6, and then for something to happen in the last couple of corners, and then by the time the cars pull in, they've kind of already worked it out. You're getting a penalty. I actually thought that was actually reasonably good stewarding and race directorship. But that doesn't excuse any of the other garbage. And I mean, the problem is we had these races last year like Spa where they awarded points, and in an absolute sham situation after a couple of laps behind the safety car have some points. Like, what the hell are you talking about? So then they're like, oh, okay, so if it rains and we abandon the race, then reduced points. It's like, well, yeah, but we didn't abandon this race. So it's like, but it's the same thing. You missed the entire point. What the reasoning was, don't give out full points unless we've had a full race. So I just don't understand why we can't get this right. It seems so easy.
Do you think that
Often.
Because we're giving so many... Thank you. Because the points differential is so big between winning and coming literally anywhere else in the points taking places, that we're getting these Formula One seasons decided so early, that's maybe taking away from the sport. And I'm not saying we should go back to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, like 1 point per position. But maybe there's a middle ground so that it's not like, hey, if Max Verstappen wins this and the other guy comes third, it's done and we've got 5 more races to go or whatever.
Well, I mean, we got in that situation more because of the dominance than the point spread, I feel. But
yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I don't even mind going back to the 10. Even I'll tell you what, don't even mind going back to the 9. How about that? Let's go back to 9 points for a win.
Oh, yeah. Why don't we just have 1 point for win and everybody else gets nothing?
One win.
You get 1 point if you win.
Everybody else gets a boiled egg.
Yeah, it's like that. Because, I mean, you're the first of the losers, really.
Yeah.
Or negative points. So instead of just getting points for finishing the top 10,
into the negatives.
You start losing points.
So 0 points for the top 10, but the bottom 10 all go into negative points.
No. I would go all the way around. So top gets 10 points. And top gets...
Oh, and then down to negative 10
11. And then down to negative...
This is so easy to understand. That's what I like about it.
Yes. So there's real jeopardy. Like, you're not just trying to get 1 point. You're trying to make sure you don't lose points.
I really like that. Look, I mean, I tell you, someone who wouldn't like that, and someone who doesn't like a decision from the FIA is Red Bull, who turns out first year into the spending cap. They've only gone over it, haven't they? I think it was Aston Martin and Red Bull both got a reprimand for like a slap on the wrist for like procedural stuff, like not putting in your thing on time or whatever. It's like a
wrong formatting in their Excel spreadsheet.
They double spaced it when they should have only 1.5 spaced it or something. And then Red Bull, it turns out,
enough decimal points.
Found to be over the spending cap. Well, so the FIA claims. They claim that. Yeah, but I mean, that's Christian Horner's sunglass budget, like that doesn't count on the spending cap.
That. Red Bull have been like, a lot of it's catering. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it though? Why? So if it's just that simple, why didn't you do the maths and go, why didn't we?
Well, yeah, why didn't you work it out?
Home brand butter?
That counts. Yeah. Funny situation. I mean, they've been saying for ages we're not over the spending cap, and Ferrari and Mercedes have been saying, yeah, but you are though. And then Red Bull have been saying it's outrageous that they're saying that. That's an affront. They should apologize. And then obviously the FIA are like, yeah, but he did though. So it seems like they did. My question is, what do you think is a fitting penalty? They're over the spending cap. What should the penalty be?
Well, in most other circumstances in Formula One, especially in racing circumstances, where you do things that give you an unfair advantage, you get disqualified.
What happens? You sure do.
Disqualified. So if you were deemed to be having an unfair advantage, some might even say cheating, disqualification is a reasonable punishment. Now we can decide
if the rules say you can't spend that money and you do, it is cheating, right? We're calling them cheaters? Are Red Bull a bunch of dirty cheaters?
I think they're the bad guys. And you know what? If you'd asked me...
Shit. Are they the bad guys?
You've got the entire grid of teams to choose from, and only one of them has overspent on the budget cap. Tell me which team you think it will be. I think it would be Red Bull, I think is what you would say.
I would think so.
With some creative accounting that they just weren't creative enough. I feel like Mercedes, if they were going to do it, they would just never get caught. Like, they would just be so creative with this work that it would just be so easy for them to do it.
So innovative. I mean, the thing is, you're counting it in euros. We're counting it in Toto bucks. There's your problem.
A personal loan to the team. It's just his time and effort. It's internal invoicing.
Exactly. You can't. Toto can't bill the team $1 per year. That doesn't work.
So it bills him in Toto bucks. It just so happens the conversion on Toto bucks is fluctuating. So at the time it was worth nothing, and now it's worth much more.
Can't pin it down, man.
We paid him in Mercedes NFTs.
Get the government out of our sport. That's what we've got to do. Crypto bucks, huh?
Yeah, it would be pretty big though, right? Like, because this is the problem that people talk about, right? Is the FIA knows that there's really that they need to be inextricably linked to Formula One to matter, right? And so the president of the FIA also doesn't really want to cause disrupt the sport. It's a closed shop, 10 teams, 20 drivers. It's its own thing. And you don't want to cause so much turmoil that teams will get pissed off and be like, well, I can't even work under these circumstances. Or I feel like we're being unfairly punished, or Mercedes is in your ear with Ferrari and they hate us because we're winning, we're Red Bull and we're the upstarts. So we're the new money. So you're trying to fuck us over here with your stupid shit. So they don't want to disrupt the sport. And they also don't want to take a driver's championship away like a year later. That feels really weird. And there's no way it could happen either, because it'd go to the Court of Arbitration of Sport, right? And this will take 3 years to go through that court, and it will just be, by the time we get to a ruling, because if they get disqualified, for example, Red Bull is just going to be like, we're suing you, and it's going to cost millions of pounds, millions of Toto bucks, and we'll end up nowhere, right? So there's no good outcome here, because the teams aren't going to be happy with Red Bull having cheated. But also, it's so far after the fact that those teams are going to be a bit sore about Red Bull keeping a championship that they cheated in, but also they're not going to be like, oh, well, what then? What are you going to do? Crown Lewis Hamilton world champion then? It's weird.
Yeah. Remember when that team got penalised because they bought a design for a part of Mercedes, and then they bought it during the period when you could buy it, and then they implemented the design in the period after you couldn't buy it, but they'd already buy it. So what were they meant to do? Remember they got penalised for that?
Yeah.
You can't, a cost cap. You can't let that them get away with that. I was wondering,
and this really bad precedent,
absolutely,
right?
Totally. This absolutely wouldn't work, and you couldn't let this run. But why not say you were over by X million dollars next year? The amount you can spend is the cap minus that amount of money. If you want to go and spend more money that year, fine. Everybody else gets to spend that much more than you next year.
Yeah, I could see that. Or a percentage of total spend. So you were 10% over your total spend, you get 10% less the next season.
Sure. Why not?
It's something that...
Cop that, you mugs.
Go back to soccer ball. There's this...
Oh, please, yes. Let's do that.
Not well done called financial fair play, it's a lot of creative accounting about how you can't spend more than you make really, right? So states that are owned by petrostates or teams that are owned by petrostates just say oh, we're sponsored by the Saudi Arabian Tourism Board, when really it's just the Saudi prince being like, here's another $1 billion. Don't worry about it. And we'll write something on the sleeves that says, come to Saudi Arabia. But essentially the idea is that accounting doesn't work over one season. It works over a longer period of time, because you buy assets and they depreciate. All this kind of accounting, it's hard to contain in one season. And so I like the idea of okay, this is the budget for this till the next time we change the formula to 2026. You can spend it however you like. You can spend it all today if you would like to, but then you won't have any more to spend. So here is the budget, which is $1 billion that can be spent over the next 5 years, and you can deploy it as you would.
Yeah, like when you give a kid pocket money and you have to tell them when you spend it, you know, that's gone. Once you spend it, it's gone. You don't get it back.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think they should be disqualified as well? That's it. Job done. Take it off Lewis. Take it off Max, give it to no one, or give it to Lewis. Is that what you would do?
Well, they could disqualify the team from the constructors without having to disqualify Max from the drivers if they wanted.
Okay. So everyone
that's
wins.
The problem. Like we said, you can't. Like they've gained. You can't argue they have not gained a competitive advantage by going over the cap.
What if they're like, we bought bad parts with that money and we made a mistake.
Yeah.
we send that shit back.
True. Look, I mean, I think I don't know. Something about it feels harsh, but by the same token, like if you don't make it harsh, everyone will just do it. So. Yeah, I don't know. Look, maybe they should. Maybe they should be docked half their penalty points. Hey, look, we need to spice up the last 4 races. This is it. Dock them half of their points and make them chase to recover. You know what I mean?
Yep, I like that.
You
also just stumbled upon the name of Gunther Steiner's memoir, Harspit Fair.
Very good. We're getting really deep into this episode, so I want to skip over this next bullshit point that I had. Maybe we can get to all the driver market moves that we've had. And you just wrote down, let's talk about the driver market moves. I went,
and then you put them in.
But then I also went, there's fucking heaps. I'm going to write them all out. So here's what we've got.
I had to make a correction. I don't know if you've spotted it.
Yeah.
Can you see the correction?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, not really.
Joe Guan Yu had staying at Aston Martin.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
I don't even think
he's clearly not staying there because he's not there at all.
Yeah, but then I was like, is he going there? Maybe I need to check that. But I think he's staying at Alfa Romeo.
I think he's going to stay at Alfa Romeo. Resigned. Pierre Gasly switching. I'm pretty sure I got this one right. Switching.
Yes.
From AlphaTauri to Alpine. That leaves us here at Alpine. Guess who's going in there? Nyck de Vries is going in there. Point scorer Nyck de Vries will make his debut season for AlphaTauri. This one is interesting because Mick Schumacher has announced that he's leaving the Ferrari program, and I assumed that means he's out the door at Haas.
Yes.
Maybe they were thinking, well, we'll just pick up Daniel Ricciardo, thanks very much. And then he was like, yeah, I don't really want to go there. So it seems Mick Schumacher might still be in the running there, but that's still to be determined.
Brings some nice sponsorship money, and maybe Daniel Ricciardo doesn't quite bring the same brand. I feel like he
might bring an expectation that he gets paid big ass cash money.
Yes.
Where Mick
when
maybe
really
is like, I've got that sorted, don't even worry about it.
Yeah, yeah, you're actually. Yeah, they pay Mick Schumacher €1 a year. Actually,
yes,
he brings money
true.
to that team.
I mean, this is the sort of interesting part. Also, Williams announcing that Nick Latifi will be leaving. They haven't announced anyone else, as far as I can tell. But they've announced that it won't be him. It seemingly won't also be Daniel Ricciardo, as aforementioned, which means that there are 2 seats available at Haas and Williams, and Ricciardo seemingly wasn't interested in either of them. But anyway, those are really the only 2 seats left to fill. But that's the driver market.
And Nico Hülkenberg could be in for one of them.
Isn't that nuts? Isn't that?
I suppose.
I mean, I can't even believe it. I just can't. The super sub might. Oh, what are we doing?
Is there anybody you'd like to see come back? You know, are there some Big Heart Hartley energy that you'd like come back into?
Wait, we haven't talked about Big Heart Hartley in ages. I wonder what he's doing. Is he on Twitter? Let me have a look.
All right, play the elevator music.
Big Heart Hartley, but I realised that's not even his. Brendan Hartley. Let's have a look. This says Brendan Hartley. I assume that's him. A proud Kiwi travelling racing. This is him. Looks like he's racing in the old. What is this?
Twitter handle race with Heart or something.
Toyota Gazoo Racing WEC. Remember, he was a WEC guy. Remember, that was his whole thing.
Yeah,
now I'm
he's
suddenly
a multi-world champion and like Le Mans winner.
So true. Yeah, I think he's doing that. It's just photos of him winning stuff, basically.
Yeah, he's very successful.
Don't even worry about him, everyone. He's friggin' doing great, living his best life.
Don't worry about it.
We should tweet him.
Okay, well, let's save
congrats.
That.
Good on you.
Let's do that in Crafty's Corner.
Save it, Rod, save it. Okay, good idea.
Yeah, save it. That or Hulkenberg. We want to get the inside line on who's getting into these 2 seats.
We could do that.
That's a good one.
Well, are we moving on?
Okay. Yeah, let's move on.
It's your turn to hit me with the super quiz, bro. Then now the song will play.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round one?
Can you repeat the question?
Wait to hear what you've cooked up.
Hey, Rod, I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Would you like Vries with that? It's the Nick DeVries
I
quiz.
sure would. Supersize me, bro.
Got this new lad on the grid next year. I thought I'd take the opportunity to do a little bit of a quickfire quiz on him, especially because we've been going long this week because we had lots to talk about. So it's the Nick DeVries. Would you like Freyers with that quiz? I've got 6 questions. Are you ready, Mr. Gordon?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Who's older, Rod? DeVries or Gasly?
Gasly.
That's wrong. Nick is 1 year older than Gasly. Almost exactly 1 year older. One was born on February 7th, one was born February 6th, the 1 year before.
Huh.
DeVries is 27. I thought he was a little baby boy.
You're kidding.
I thought he was 20 or something, or like 17 or some shit, right? He looks like a little child. And yet, he's 27 years old. He's a grown-ass man. He is coming into this sport as GP2 champion, as a guy who's done racing, lots of it, been in multiple driver programs.
He looks like a guy that just got out of high school and is going to do a TAFE in osteotherapy or something.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, I thought that was surprising. Let's go back to that year of his birth, though, Rod. Question number 2. Nick was born in Uitvelingerga, so Uitvelingerga in the Netherlands. It's a pretty small place, this place, Rod. But Wikipedia does this fun thing where it will tell you notable people from that place. So I want you to tell me, in this multiple choice question, I've got 3 choices for you, how many notable people, according to Wikipedia, are from Uitvelingerga? Is it 1 person, 3 people, or 12 people?
Are we counting him as one of the...
He's one of them, correct.
Ah. Well, then, I mean,
Or
you
is he
said
the
them,
one?
so that means there's not one. So
Well, I couldn't lead the question.
You chose what options you wanted to put on the table. I'll go 3. Because that'd be fun.
It is 3.
Wow.
There are 3 people. One of them is a speed skater, and the other one is an indoor middle distance runner.
Wouldn't know it if you gave me a lineup and I couldn't pick it out.
Yep, so they were good on them. Question number 3, Rod.
Okay.
This is another non-Red Bull Academy driver that is at a Red Bull team. They used to be the team that would put all their drivers... Like, it was the only way to get into Red Bull was to be a Red Bull Academy driver. Who was the last Academy driver to make it into F1 from the Red Bull team? From the Red Bull, Academy driving setup? Who was the last one to make it into F1?
The last Red Bull Academy driver that entered F1. Is that the question?
Yes. That is the question.
I mean, is it Sonoda?
It is not Sonoda.
Okay.
I can give you a hint if you would like.
Oh, is it Zhou Guan Yu?
No. He's already been mentioned in this quiz, Rod.
Nick the Vries?
No, it's Pierre Gasly.
Oh, okay. There you go. Shows how much attention I've been paying.
Who's 26? They're not putting anybody in from the Red Bull driver program.
Remember there was like those years and years where they were like, you've already put all your drivers into the sport, you dummies. You got no stocks left.
Got nothing.
Seems like they've actually just been doing okay.
They're all elsewhere. You've only got 2 world champions for it. So, question number 4. Yes. Mm-hmm. We've already seen Nick race in Formula 1. Rod, which track did he debut at?
Was Italy?
Mm-hmm. Almost there.
Yeah. So did I get the question right?
Well, we race a couple of times in Italy these days.
So, I mean, what do we say? The Italian Grand Prix in Monza?
Yes, perfect. Well done. Good job.
Okay. Apologies.
Sorry, we'll need more from you.
And all respect to the quizmaster.
I don't run the quiz. I just ask the questions. What?
I don't make the regulations. I just fuck them up.
Question number 5. What makes Nick de Vries' switch from Formula E to Formula 1 unique?
he scored no points in Formula E, but he scored points on debut in F1.
That would be good, but no. Do you want one more crack at it before I tell you the answer? What is it that Formula E drivers don't seem to do? No matter how good they are. It's something about the direction.
Come back to Formula One.
Yeah, they never go back. They never go into Formula One. So he's the first person to go from Formula E to Formula One. Everybody goes the other way. Lots of ex-Formula One drivers in Formula E.
Yeah.
But no one's made the jump from Formula E to Formula One. He's the guy. And look, raced for a long time seemingly to make that happen. So good on him. Last question, Rod. Question number 6. According to healthyceleb.com, what is Nick's nickname?
That's all I get? Okay.
Yep.
His nickname.
What, do you want more?
So this is from Healthy Celeb. So this is going to be like he is Mr. Health. So
yep.
he's
So like they've got a bio on people, and so he's on healthyceleb.com. They had his height, his weight, who his partner is, where he was born. Actually, it was place born, but they had nickname here. So what is Nick's nickname?
Is it Slick de Vries?
It should be. No, it's Nick.
Should be. We christened him henceforth on Super License. His name is Slick de Vries.
Slick de Vries.
I'm just trying to think what's there's no thing that's like either health food or junk food that's like, oh yeah, it rhymes with Nick, but I'm coming up blank. So I came with Slick.
Literally like the name of the quiz is would you like rise with that? Like
right, well, Nick de Fries. Okay.
French fries. You know, that's a good nickname.
His nickname is French Fries.
Yeah. French fries.
Cool.
Fries. No, on healthyceleb.com his nickname was Nick. And that's why I just thought it was a fun bit of sibilance. Yeah. What is his nickname?
Wow.
Nick's nickname. Anyway, he's a boring guy. There's not that much I just need to say about him.
Look, we're still getting to know him.
We are learning it. But you know what? Seemingly we've had a long time to learn about him because he's 27. He's going to be 28 before the next season starts, Rod. He was born in February.
I get big Latifi vibes from this guy.
He is going to be in his 30s. If he makes it more than one season, if he does two seasons, he can just sneak in 2 seasons before he's 30. Just. Like come on.
Good on him. No,
he's going to last 1 year at AlphaTauri before they get bought into Audi or some bullshit, and then he'll be out. Sorry, mate.
Bloody hell, he will, won't he?
You're the next big heart, Hartley. Off to work with you. Thank you, mate. I try my best. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's it. That's Super Quiz done. The last thing for us to do is our new outro bit, Crafty's Corner, where we craft Formula One's most viral tweet. We bring our hottest of hot takes, type them up, and post them out onto the internet. You have a question here. How did our last tweet go? Do you want to pull up this tweet and have a look at the stats?
Yeah.
I do know, without even looking at it, it was decidedly better than the first one, which I think, if from memory, got 1 like, which was you. This one, for those who need a reminder, this is us. Hey, Amazon at Prime Video admin. We heard F1 might be looking for a new home. We think you're a great fit. And it was the F1 music over the top of the Lord of the Rings intro video that went viral. So,
yes.
How are the stats looking on that one, my friend?
I think it was like 2 likes.
1 retweet.
And 1 retweet.
Well, I mean, we've blown up the stats. It's already triple the engagement from last time.
Viral.
Can we see views or something?
You think like impressions or impact?
That's what I want. That bullshit stat that means nothing, that social media managers get paid by.
Hey. I'm standing up with my brethren in marketing worlds.
And saying what?
Impressions are important. Share of voice. Share of market voice.
Blah, blah, blah.
All right.
It says 69 views. Nice. Okay.
Nice.
Nobody view that, please. Everyone just leave it alone. So anyway, the job to do, we need to beat that. We need to get more than 1 tweet and 2 likes and more than 69 views. So we're going with Brendan Big Heart Harley?
I think we could... so let me ask this. I'm going to look up... I'm going to look up Nico Hulkenberg and see how many followers he has. Because I feel like we want to ping either of them.
I was wondering if we could pit those two against each other somehow.
Yeah.
Or like... Hey, Nico, I hope you're not worried about the rumor we heard that Brendan Hartley's going to, swoop in and snatch your seat,
Exactly. I wonder if
Maybe
they've
something
ever
like
raced
that.
together. It seems like something they would have done in WEC, right? Been in the same team together.
God, like they could have won 5 WEC championships together, and I'm clueless. It's a huge gap in my knowledge. Nico Hulkenberg has won Le Mans 24, right? I think he was one of the early ones to just try it.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, all the F1 drivers were like, oh, you can just do that? Fuck, I'll do that too.
According to Changes Driver, so at Changes Driver, this is that's the handle. The name is Driver Changes. Just a bot keeping a record of all the driver changes going on. 6 followers, 51 following. This is from one day ago. Nico Hulkenberg to move to AlphaTauri. I don't know if this is a bot or someone. I mean, what kind of Black Mirror world do we live in where someone pretends to be a bot? But I think that's what this person is doing. So, yeah, good luck. I don't know, is that live news that's just maybe come out today? But
Check the old Twitters.
I'm not seeing anything.
But I mean, this could just be, an inside source that's so reliable that they've just gone with it. The Twitter bots decided to commit. But I'm not seeing it blowing up anywhere on the old Twitter feed arena.
No, so I'm going to say we need to pit Hulkenberg. Does he even have Twitter? Users?
Look,
with
you're
Nico
asking
Hulkenberg?
all great questions. Because if he doesn't, then why?
No, there is the fake Hulk who has 87 followers. There's Nico Hulkenberg with the smiley dude, and then Nico Hulkenberg from James Maywood, 0 followers. One tweet though.
You hate to see it.
Hey, I have a good web designer who could make you a web site for €120. That was 98 days ago from Nico Hulkenberg. I don't think that's
interesting.
him.
So this account, Hulk Hulkenberg, with 1 million followers, and you think that's not his official account?
No, it might be. When I searched Nico Hulkenberg, I didn't get that. So let's have a look. Hulkenberg. How many? 1 million followers, you say? Right. Huh.
Yeah, that sounds about right?
That's
like it's not 10
him.
million, but it's also not none.
I can't find that. Anyway, but does it have a blue tick, Rod? Blue tick?
Back on this is an official tweet from Formula One saying back on this day in 2020 at Hulk Hulkenberg put in an incredible super sub performance to qualify. I mean, I'm just saying if Formula One are tagging this account in their tweets, they've done the hard work. In my opinion, that makes this official.
I think that we should tweet at him then and Big Heart Hartley together.
Yeah.
And ask them. Find a way to
test document.
Yeah, find a way to pit them against each other. I also wonder maybe is there any we could ask Nick if we were going to ask Nico Hulkenberg, we could ask him if there's any credence to the conspiracy theory and rumor that he's being kept out of a full-time racing gig because he is the super sub and every team needs him, and they have chosen to share him together. So they've got a pact to make sure that no one signs him full-time. So
what do we say? Hey, Hulkenberg, any truth that Hartley is in for the seat to keep you relegated to super sub status, something like that?
Yes, I like this.
Okay. We can trim some of the silence here while I type. Hey, Hulkenberg, any truth that Brendan Hartley is in
pole position?
It's in pole position. Pole position for the F1 seat, your F1 seat?
Yeah, for what is spiritually your F1. No, for
your rightful place, your rightful seat in F1.
In F1. Yeah, just in F1. Yeah,
in F1
exactly.
To keep you relegated to super sub or something like that.
Yeah, I like this.
Super
I like
status.
This. Yeah.
Is there a photo of them like in the same photo? That's always that's a nice little touch.
Let's go Hartley.
Hulkenberg. Sort of maybe they're like smiling at each other. Maybe they're not. Who knows? Did they even drive? Oh, I've just Googled,
there was a news piece where they were
just Googled Hulkenberg photos, and there's like you know that image style that's F1 braking, where it's like braking across the top and the bottom, and it's like Nico Hulkenberg is like 100-year-old man, and it says Nico Hulkenberg replaces Emo Fittipaldi Jr. for 2054 Moon GP. I'd forgotten about that. That's so good.
That's full on.
Brendan Hartley and Nico Hulkenberg. Was there an overlap?
I've got a picture.
You got one?
For you. Yep.
Drop it in the old... Oh, we don't have time for this, and I think we've ruled out photoshopping. But you know the Kevin Magnussen Hulkenberg moment. Maybe we could Photoshop like Hartley over the top of Magnussen.
Yeah. Should we do the
just to spice up the
Stable
rivalry
Diffusion or something to combine them together?
Oh yeah, send me the photo you got.
I did. I posted it in general on our Slack channel.
Good stuff.
There is a Sebastian Vettel between them, but you could split him out.
Yes, let's go with this. I like this. All right.
Remember when Sebastian Vettel racing for Ferrari?
Photo sorted. Do you want me to reread the tweet one more time?
Yes, just one more time.
Hey Hulkenberg, any truth that Hartley is in pole position for your rightful seat in F1 to keep you relegated to super sub status? Is that too much? Can we chop something from that? Any truth that Hartley is in pole position for your rightful seat in F1 to keep you relegated to super sub status?
Yeah. Just like keeping you as super sub, maybe.
Yeah. Keeping you as super sub. Cool.
Yeah. We see you much more as a dom. Super dom, maybe.
Yeah, that's it.
When will you be back?
Dom me, sub daddy.
Yeah. Okay, no. This is dangerous territory.
That's the hashtag. Hey Hulkenberg, any truth that Brendan Hartley's in pole position of your rightful seat in F1 to keep you... I've forgotten what you said. Just keep you as super sub? Keep you as super sub.
Keeping you as super sub, yeah.
Keeping. Okay, good. That's hit send.
Yep. You got the photo there? Good.
Do we need hashtag F1? Does that help?
Yeah, I think so. Hashtag not my sub.
What other stuff is there about sub?
I don't want to kink shame, so I want it to be all positive.
Do you remember on our favorite podcast, Stop Podcasting Yourself, how Dave always does Christmas vouchers for Graham?
Yes.
And there was that one where he was like, this voucher entitles you to some sub-dom play. I'll be Subway, you can be Domino's.
Isn't one of Subway's things like
people's jokes
like Your Way or something? Or is it
Your Way?
Yeah. Isn't it like
Sub
Subway
it your way?
Yeah, Sub it Your Way. Eat flash fresh.
Subway drive fresh.
That's so many steps removed. He'd look at it and go, "What do you mean?"
Let's keep it clean.
Are they both tagged?
Right,
have we got an at Hulkenberg?
Yeah, I've got
an
at
Hartley.
At Hulk Hulkenberg and then at Brendan Hartley.
Yes, which we believe is the correct Twitter handle.
Well, look, I've
okay. Hashtag breaking.
Hashtag breaking. At the start, big bold, yeah. Breaking. Hey Hulkenberg, any truth that Brendan Hartley is in pole position for your rightful seat in F1, keeping you as a super sub? Yeah, and excellent. Let's tweet this. Ready?
Yeah, get it out. Better done than perfect, right?
It looks so good. Okay. Everybody, please, if you don't already follow us on Twitter, on the amazing website, twitter.com, go and find us. We're at Superlicense. I guess if you want to follow us in other places, there's a website, superlicense.fm. Zach, the FM stands for?
Formula Man.
Sure does. And then on there's links to the Twitter if you can't find it elsewise. Otherwise, there's also links to the Discord. There's also links to, I don't even know, some other stuff probably. Patreon. Thanks, Patreon supporters. You'll be getting this early because I'd like to give you a little something for your support.
Taste.
It keeps the lights on. It keeps the computers whirring. It keeps Zach in his favorite treat, which this week is, Zach.
I'm really all about the chocolate hobnob. But I am, with the Patreon money, buying these new sandwiched biscuits, milk and like a Kinder kind of chocolate style milk in the middle, like a milk and cream, called a pickup.
Doesn't sound bad
individually
at all.
wrapped. You know a biscuit's fancy when they're individually wrapped.
It's true. That means someone cares.
Yeah.
Well, you should follow us on all those places. Come and say hello. Send us an email if you want to at superlicencepodcast@gmail.com. And every time I tease this, we always get a barrage of several emails. If you've had a dream about F1, if you've had an F1 dream, feel free to please write it out and send it to us. And if we get enough, we will do an F1 dream segment. It's been a yonk since we've done that. Yeah.
Also, tune in for really what is our personal race this season, which is can we finish watching Drive to Survive and doing our Dare to Swear episodes before the season finishes?
We're going for our own Triple Crown, which is just watching
our own personal
a
record
Netflix show. Yeah, boy.
We don't
that's
have
really
long
becoming
left.
it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Formula One is the race to the Formula One crown is done. So tune in to our show.
If we can get down to one episode left, maybe I'll hire like a theatre or something, and we'll dress up and we'll have a red carpet affair.
So when I'm in Australia, we can do it a pre-Christmas show, live show.
Exactly. They might let us walk out during like the the Boxing Day test. Come out during the lunch break and watch. Maybe that'd be good.
So good. Now everyone, we're going to watch Drive to Survive together. Episode 9.
Or if you want to watch, it's on the big screen. Like, look, turn the subtitles on and everything.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon to do that with our series Dare to Swear, which, as we've said, we watch Drive to Survive and we talk about it, and sometimes we even talk about the show. Any other business, Zach, before we wrap this baby up?
What we got? US Grand Prix, one of the many US Grand Prix coming up.
Any soccer matches on that you have to watch?
No, not important ones. Don't worry about it. I don't like to talk about the other sports in this show. They get jealous. Formula One gets jealous.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just going to leave it. It's bad for the SEO. But I'm looking forward to
Are we going to watch cricket when you come out here?
Oh, yeah, cricket. Do people still watch that? I think so. All right. What about you? Anything else you want to say?
Nah, not really. Nah, all good. It's been a long one. It's been a silly one. You were saying that I was going to be silly, but I would, look at you, Mr. Silly Pants. Well, thanks for listening.
How do you feel about?
We will see you again soon. You're gonna give me some hot takes about
the schedule. When you go to Formula1.com and you go to the schedule page, right? They put the Pro Championship events for the esports series in here too. Yeah. It's very confusing. I've mentioned this before.
That's a bit much.
I think it's too much. I don't like it. So next time on Crafty's Corner, we should tweet about that.
Oh, there you go. We're going to focus our ire towards the FIA and their scheduling. All right. Let's wrap that one up there. We'll be back soon with some more Dare to Swear. Then we'll be back with some more race talk. Until then, my name's Ben Rod.
My name's been Zach. One thing, I've been staring out the window those last 20 minutes at a company who's taking down scaffolding, and their truck is just called Williams. So maybe this is where the Williams dollars have gone. They've diversified. Anyway, my name's been Zach.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, yeah.